Your destiny is as same as mine, and our fate is connected together. Don't you think for a moment that this is your existential war alone? It's mine as well. I said somewhere, if 7 billion clowns out there try to convince me otherwise, I will not listen to any of them. Because the truth is experiential. It's either you know it or you don't. It's not a second-hand knowledge. 10 years with Israeli intelligence, before that my entire childhood as a Palestinian. Hamas was established back in 1987. I still remember, I have vivid memories of all the details and my father's excitement about the birth of Hamas as a project that would bring to the Palestinian people emancipation and freedom. I remember him. It was just like a moment ago, how excited he was about the birth of Hamas. Did he see what Hamas would do on October 7th? Can he actually watch what his own movement did on October 7th? You know, we're very different. I'm from the West Bank. I've never been to Gaza. But yesterday, for the first time, watching the massacre committed by Hamas on October 7th, something fundamental in me changed. I think my life changed forever. I thought that I had seen the worst of Hamas, but nothing like this. What I saw yesterday was very clear, a genocide. And there is no doubt about it. And I say that there is no doubt in truth, even though the entire world is confused, in doubt, and in denial, because many people are projecting their hatred through this device. But the truth is not affected by their hatred. And what is very sad, that they're accusing Israel and accusing the Jewish people of committing genocide against the Palestinians, while Israel and the Jewish people are the ones who are actually the victims of a true genocide. The very definition, many politicians talked about genocide, but people are not connecting to this reality. Because what is a genocide? When a bunch of savages move from door to door, killing everything in their way, raping, beheading, burning. I saw them kill a woman in a kindergarten. Who does that? I saw them throwing a grenade, killing a father in front of his children. Then the child involuntarily was crying. We're talking about a very, very young boy. And he was saying, why am I still alive? Nobody can fake such reaction. And what the world is expecting when we are in the face of such savages, that they did not only commit the ultimate crime. What defines genocide? When you kill a group of people, ethically cleanse them for their belief, for their religion, for their ethnicity. We saw that in some movies. It was just out of Hollywood imagination based on some true stories in Africa during some tribal warfare. But nobody thought that we would be witnessing a genocide happening against the only democracy in the Middle East, against the Jewish people that have contributed so much to life, to humanity. And this is now where the entire moral conflict, people see children dying and they consider Israel as a superior force, so it's easy for them to blame Israel. But they don't understand how devastating October 7th was for the Jewish people. And my first reaction, without knowing what happened on the ground, by the way, I did not see any of the footage at that time, at the early beginning of the war. I said, this is a modern-day Holocaust. And up to yesterday, what I saw, I could not sleep last night. And I was filled with rage that is, I don't know if my physical body can carry such trauma. And here we are, we're at defense. I have to go and explain to people. I have to explain to people that standing for the truth, for humanity, against violence, against savages, is not treason. The same way that you are trying to explain that we are the victims here. But it looks like we live in a world that is full of denial. But what I would like to say, that do not be afraid of their lies. Because we cannot be afraid of their propaganda, their misinformation, their deception. We are to the side of truth. I said earlier that the victims we see in Gaza are basically the victims of a war crime committed by their own ruling authority because they use them as human shields. Please pay attention carefully to my words because I'm building a case. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm not here to tell you how good you are or how bad that is. We all know the reality. We know the ugly truth, but everyone has a different way to express it. And it's very important that we have the power to build solid cases to minimize the suffering. Because the more confusion, there will be more hatred, more persecution. Then Israel will have to use more force, could be a lethal force. If we are able to identify the origin of the suffering, where it all began, and be clear about it ourselves, and have the right expression, the right vision, and the right expression of our truth, let's say, that will help a lot. So on one hand, Hamas savages committed a very clear case of a modern day genocide. There is no doubt about it. On the other hand, they committed another crime by using their own people as human shields, gambling with their own children's blood for political and religious gain. It did not stop there. They kidnapped infants, women, elders, all type of people as hostages, as a bargaining chip to release convicted mass murderers from Israeli prisons. And the world is still in denial. So, first of all, we need to understand what is the case and how can we express our truth to the world. And I am certain that eventually the truth will prevail. Because Hamas, 20 or 25 years ago, when I started having my problem with them, actually since my childhood, I had problem with Hamas. But I was powerless, defenseless. I couldn't stand against them. One of the events, a Hamas leader, a disciple on the hands of Abdullah Azzam. For those who don't know who Abdullah Azzam is the spiritual leader of the Taliban, of Bin Laden, of Al-Qaeda, of Hamas, of the Muslim Brotherhood. And his student or disciple tied me up to a post. And I wasn't even 10 years old. And he whipped me with an electric cable as my mother watched because I disobeyed the discipline of the way. It was a very cold night and I lost my breath. When I say I lost my breath, that I could not breathe with every lash. And some people, ask me, do you have a personal problem? Well, of course I have a personal problem. Of course I have a big problem with this group. But this was not everything. Even though I was just a child, In a society, when I look at the people of Gaza dying today, I cannot be even emotionally connected to them. Maybe yesterday when I saw the atrocities on October 7th, I couldn't help but cry. But I see things happening to the Palestinians, and I immediately know that it's a self-inflicted pain. The death is out of the irresponsibility and the selfishness of the leadership. While the people cheer, while the people salute and praise their predator, where they praise the suicide bomber, where they praise the killers, the savages, when a majority of a society does or do such a thing, they have fallen from grace. It's finished. And how can I sympathize with them? It's my people, and it's very hard. I'm not here to say my people are bad, but this is the ugly truth of the Arab world. How disappointing it is that I cannot find one decent voice to stand clearly and say, I condemn Hamas savages. I don't want them to praise Israel. I don't want them to take the side of Israel, but at least to have the dignity to say and call Hamas for what they are. And when they don't have this type of power, what else left there for me to actually... It's a lost case. It's a lost generation. And I'm devastated because this is where my mother, this is where my siblings, where my father, which, they haven't spoken to me for 12 years. Only because they think my reason is treason, that I have betrayed, while I was trying very hard to save them from themselves. I got very tired. I really got very tired talking about this topic. And in the past few years, I moved on. I started a new life, something completely different, things I cannot talk about here for my own security. But after October 7th, I had a choice to stay silent, not interfere, or come back and share with the world, because I know Hamas inside out. My childhood experience with Hamas was not the beginning or the end. When I was 18, I spent time in prison, and this is where I got to meet Hamas and Hamas' true nature, where they were brutally torturing Palestinian people. I'm not talking about Israelis right now. I'm talking about Palestinian prisoners were killed on the hands of Hamas. Hundreds of them were killed and tortured during that period of time. And I asked myself the question, what if Hamas succeeded at some point in destroying Israel and becoming the ruler of the land? Are they going to do this to our people? And that was one of the first questions I asked myself about the nature of my father's organization, which was very hard. Why? Because I had security, protection, prestige, power, money. Hamas was everything to our family. And it's the hardest thing to question something if we have a mutual interest with that entity. This is where we have to choose between our true selves or the security that entity is given us. This is where most individuals compromise. What we are witnessing today, all this condemnation and hatred against Israel, because every one of those individuals has some interest, or they just simply have hatred that they find the medium or the device to project that hatred, not knowing that they're contributing to dark forces that is seeking destruction. The same idiots don't know that eventually they will be paying the price for siding with the devil. So these are the fronts. We have the front in Gaza, and as the rabbi said, we have brave warriors. I cannot imagine. You know, from day one, I called up the office. I haven't called them in many years. And I said, I'm coming. And they were the ones who said, don't come. You go to the United States. You have a more important job to do. And they refused. I wanted to go. It's our responsibility. And it's an honor to fight against dark forces. It's not a shameful thing. Even if the Arab world, Muslim world will consider me whatever they want to consider me, it is not going to change my truth. It has been an honor to be part of this family. And to feel the way you feel. So Gaza front, we have to win that front. We have to eradicate Hamas. We cannot afford another attack like October 7th. We have to eradicate all Islamists, terrorists, savages, everybody who stand by them. And I am not concerned of civilian casualties as long as they are given Hamas cover, as long as they praise Hamas, as long as they stay in silence, not condemning Hamas for what they are, as long as they celebrate the pain and the atrocity of other groups. The entire world saw them celebrate. And it's not a surprise. I was there. I remember 9/11 and what happened after the attacks and how Palestinians celebrated. Many, not only in Palestine and not only in the Arab world, also here in the West, enjoy the pain inflicted on the Jewish people. This is the ugly truth. And many have unmasked their true faces. I see them everywhere. And I call them by their names. That this will not be forgotten. I tell you why. In chaos, this type of people thrive. But after chaos, there will be order. And when order is restored, they will be remembered. And I don't want to say happy, but I'm okay with the fact that they unmasked their faces in this critical moment of human history. October 7th was a turning point. The line has defined truth and falsehood. And once again, a handful and a minority of truthful group will defeat a majority of false entities. This is a promise I give you. I know it in my spirit. I know it in my experience. And those who think that it's over, they're totally mistaken. And I speak on the authority of the most powerful, Almighty, in this case. Hamas must go. And those who supported Hamas will be held accountable. Nobody is going to get away with their crime.